Greetings and good afternoon, my fellow Americans. I'd like to take a moment of your time and talk about the wall, which the media has bomb blasted even more than the Russian collusion story, and put everybody into a whirlwind that's unnecessary and unhealthy. Walls are a natural tool of nature to create diversity of life. Now, once you understand that philosophically and otherwise, you can understand the correct and improper use of an artificial wall within nations and nation building. But, just some of the talking points here, evoke this video, okay? I cannot believe that people are saying things like 10-foot wall, 12-foot ladder. Well, I think the president's thinking more like a 30-foot wall, and I don't think anybody would go more than 15 feet up that ladder. But, the real problem here is what the Democrats did with this situation, the 8 years that Obama ruled the White House. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about how, what they let into the country. 10 million, 15 million illegal immigrants. Really hard to say, but, anywhere from 500,000 to, 1.5 million each year, without a doubt. So, I think the Democrats have lost the argument right there, They're no good at border security. They're no good at defending the nation. They build no kinds of laws or situations that do anything in service to the American people and the country in general. Now, Mr. Trump doesn't have a long track record in all this, and I think they're afraid that he might outdo them, that he might actually get a noticeable effect. Like there's all these border towns, and you see the border wall on the TV, and on the Mexican side, there's just thousands of houses. On the U.S. side, there's nothing. Must be a good economy to own a property there. You must, be like a hotel for those going over the wall that afternoon. I mean, got to be a reason why it's so popular on the Mexican side there, and the American side, no one's in sight. But I have a funny feeling if you give Donald Trump the chance here, that there'll be a noticeable difference on our side of the border. And states like Arizona and Texas will greatly reduce themselves in third world members living there, because there'll be no more economy in smuggling people and drugs and firearms and all the things that go on the border. And I think the people that live in those states would find that very comforting, to suddenly not see all those people living in their border towns, and for life to go back to some kind of condition it was 20 years ago. But I just don't get it, okay? And the Republicans are just like falling short of any kind of talking points. I don't understand what their problem is here. I mean, sure, the president took it on as his own mantle, and he's pleased to wear it because it's for this nation, and he's here to defend all of us. And sure, the Congress stepped up, and created a bill that somehow encompassed what it was he stood for. And the Democrats, what did they do? Chucky Schumer started talking like he was president of the United States. I think he's personally planning a run for it. He's just waiting for the 60 other people in the windmill to sort of beat each other up. Nancy Pelosi goes to Hawaii supposedly. That's right up her alley, Why deal with a situation that's hard pressed against her? Why not wait until a moment when she can be more manipulative and more let's pass it and see what's in it afterwards kind of moment here? And there's all kinds of reasons why those people are being that way, and they just don't want to do this one simple thing that's sort of needed at this point, if the country is to survive this socialist outlashing of third world, immigrants that don't understand or comprehend the democratic republic that the United States is. So, but I just think it's outlandish, and I can't believe that Americans are just so, and I mean, that's the whole point. They create these arguments to get us all sort of like disconnected and just say, oh, forget about it, I don't want to talk about it. And, and then they do things once they have our eyes off of the discussion. And that's the one thing I like about this president. He tries to keep everybody's eyes on the discussion. He doesn't like that Washington just create a big ball of confusion, let everybody get fed up and go home and not pay attention to it anymore. So I hope the president holds out 2-3 months. I hope he and more laws are needed too. For example, this is the real problem. The real problem are the laws, because, if we had a law that said, if you're an illegal immigrant and you've broken the law and been deported once, and when you're caught back in the country again, it's an automatic 10-year prison sentence. Wow, I bet that would slow things down. Or if, there's just all kinds of laws that ought to be pressing against this situation that aren't really there, that aren't apparent, that don't exist. But, it's what the situation needs. It needs a whole new redirect. The Obama administration let all these court judgments go unchallenged, and all these laws fall into place that are just against our own nation's interests. And we're just sort of following, the European blueprint about 3 years behind time. And, if you want to see the United States be like Europe in 2020, well, let's keep it going. But I do think that this president's idea about using border fencing is probably a good one. He probably has a good idea of where he wants those fences and what purpose they play, because if anything, they start to drive the crowd, the herd, into more narrow corridors of entrance. And then it's easier for border security to manage that entrance area where there is no wall or border fence, whatever the other silly names are here that we're all so worried about. But yeah, I think more laws are needed, a lot more laws. I think, just hard to make them up here off the top of my head, but yeah, there ought to be a penalty if you've been deported and for a criminal reason, and you come back into the country again. And there ought to be a law about all these people that fly in and overstay their visa. That ought to be 5 years mandatory imprisonment after 3 years of overstaying your visa. And I'm sure less and less people would start doing these things. So I think the law, get rid of the lottery, all these problems. That's where the Congress is failing us. That's where the whole, the president can only do so much, But I hope he holds out for a long time for some of these laws. I hope he's willing to shut down part of the border, not completely because of the economic loss, but he could easily close down the border from Texas all the way up to Arizona, and just leave the California side open for business and unlawful entries and stuff like that. And that might be something California needs, that extra focus on all of those extra people coming in, because it's the only place to easily cross the border. But I think the Congress, and the Congress isn't shameful at the moment. The U.S. Senate is, because You know, I hear these Democrats accusing the Republicans of trying to use the American public like it's their personal ATM machine. Who are they to speak of this? You know, they've been punching their cards into the U.S. Treasury nonstop for 20 years. I mean, what are they saying here? You know, $5 billion? My God, I'll be surprised if their personal wealth isn't $5 billion for each, you know, Democratic senator over there. It's just not right. So I hope everybody out there, you know, just changes the whole way they're framing this issue, because a 30-foot fence is not anything anybody is going to put a ladder on. I don't care who you are. And you might dig a hole under it, but you're not going to put a fence ladder up on it. And